I'm Bruce.
I'm Josh, and welcome to this week's episode of What's for Dinner, Pensacola.
This week we're going to be making a spaghetti sauce, and then we're going to do some sausage balls to be able to put in them. So if you can do it either way. You can have the sauce without the meat if you prefer to do that, or you can have the sausage added into it. But first, I'm going to start the creative juices flowing by a cocktail, of course. This week, since we're working with a heavier meat, sausage in this case, I'm going to do a whiskey sour. So I've started with a good solid whiskey, Hill Rock in this case. It's a more of a craft whiskey that I discovered at a farmer's market in New York City, done just north of there, out in upstate New York. I have my shaker that already has ice in it. I have filled my glass with ice to get it ice cold for when the whiskey goes into it. And then I have simple syrup and lemon juice. So we're gonna do a couple of ounces, about 1.5 ounces of the whiskey. I usually, in this case, different than I do with like the gin and tonic, I usually measure because you wanna make sure that the whiskey and the lemon juice and the sugar from the simple syrup is more in a correct mixture. Doing 1.5 ounces of the whiskey, 1.5 ounces of the lemon juice, and then doing about 3/4 ounce of the simple syrup. Now you can, if you like it a little sweeter, you can adjust that a little more, but I prefer a little more of the taste of the whiskey and the lemon. So you're gonna take it and at this point just shake it. I like it really ice cold, so I shake it a little bit longer. In fact, I like ice crystals to form in it, but whatever way you like it shaken. I'm gonna dump the ice. Oops, made a mistake there. I'm gonna dump the ice, gonna get just a little bit more into it. And then it's ready to pour and drink. So very simple with that. All right, so Josh, if you want to take over.
Gotcha. So I'm over here with our mild Italian sausage, and I've got our spices all laid out ready for us. So these are all to taste. They're to make the sausage a little more spicy. But right here we have about 1/2 tablespoon of cayenne. We got about 1/4 of crushed red pepper, about 1/2 of cumin, and this is about 1/2 of chili powder. So we're gonna take all that and just pour it all over our meat. And then gotta get down and dirty. So you're just gonna take your hands and start mixing in the spices.
All right, so the water is boiling now. So we're using a Rao's sauce today, a tomato basil. And you could certainly do a homemade sauce if you want, if you have time for that. But I know many of us like to take some shortcuts today, but we still want it to be good, solid, and homemade flavor. And Rao's is absolutely amazing. I don't know if you've ever been to their restaurant. You can't really go to the one in New York City without an invite, but the one in Vegas, if you're ever in Vegas, absolutely check out Rao's. Of course, they have them in the supermarket these days. We're gonna pair a noodle that's a Rao's branded as well. It is homemade. It's a linguine in this case, and it is imported from Italy. So that's what we're gonna cook today. And gonna get it in the water. And as we said in the last episode, many people tend to overcook. So we're gonna make it just a nice al dente, somewhere about 7 or 8 minutes. If you start getting closer to that 10-minute mark, it's just gonna be overdone and really limp. So you want it at that nice crisp al dente flavor, or consistency. So after we try the noodles, we'll be draining them, putting some butter and garlic into them. Then we're gonna be putting the meatballs into the oven once the temp reaches 410.
So we're gonna get our meatballs into the oven. We're gonna set a timer for 13 minutes. And that is just depending on the size of your meatballs, and you're gonna check them. And then, add time depending on, how big they are and if they're cooked all the way through, and you just add time based on how they're cooking.
The sauce really needs to be in a pan where more of it is along the bottom. It's not gonna simmer and cook as well if it's in like a tall pan and just only have a little bit on the bottom. So as with before, when I say before, watched our previous show, we're gonna do some garlic, just a little bit of garlic, about 1.5 teaspoons worth into the noodles. And then we're going to put the remaining amount of butter. This is about serving and a half or so of butter. Put that down in there, and we are going to just mix that in until the butter melts. So here's the finished product. I suggest we just take a quick taste of it. The spice level is perfect on that one. Wow. All right, so with something a little heavier like the sausage, I like to go with a nice red, but not something terribly bold. So in this case, this is personal taste. You might like something a little more bold, but I've picked a cab from Chateau Montelena. It's a 2012 cab. This is out of Napa Valley in California. And so that's what we paired with it today. You could do a red blend, any type of cab or a red blend. If you want to be a little more bold, certainly get into something like your Zens. But in general, I don't want to overwhelm the flavor of the food, but just a nice, good quality red. So, as always, we would like, comment if you would like the recipe. Certainly contact us and we'll be happy to give it to you. Subscribe to our channel.
And if you want to check out our other show, the Bruce and Josh Show, for some real estate tips and tricks, go check that out. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Happy eating.